you continued with the group, and she continued. As you lived, you said you lived in Pennsylvania, so you didn't really make it into the city very much. Tell me about that.
With regard to the group, it was mostly online for me, because for me to travel to the weekly meetings that they would have in New York City was pretty much logistically impossible.
Why don't you say that again so you don't still...
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With regard to the online group, my main communication was online. They would have the weekly meetings in New York City, support groups that were set up, and logistics.
Just say it. It's hard for me to get in.
Yeah. Do I start over completely, or?
Why don't you just say, they had meetings every week, but I couldn't get in there because it was too far. That's an easier way of saying it.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
No, this is fine.
They had weekly meetings, support meetings for everybody part of the group, but it was very hard for me to get back and forth to the city to attend these meetings. So once again, my communication with the group was basically online or phone conversations that I would have with several different people, including Tanya Head.
So when was the next time you sort of encountered Tanya after that?
The following time that I encountered Tanya, I can't really recollect what it was all about. We came into the city, I think there was a luncheon, and I remember meeting with other survivors. Tanya was part of that. She was wearing a mesh on her arm from, the burn she allegedly received from...
Don't say allegedly.
Okay.
Just say that the burns that she received, because allegedly comes later.
Okay, I'm sorry. The next time that I saw Tanya Head, there was some kind of luncheon set up or something, to the best of my recollection, and she was still wearing her mesh on her arm, like a burn victim would have. And, I remember speaking to her. But we also had a little bit of a falling out, me and Tanya Head, about a political post that she had made. And we didn't see eye to eye with each other. And from that point on, it became a little contentious between me and Tanya.
Tell me about, and I want to go into that, but tell me about what happened with Jerry. Were you out, was your dispute with Tanya before or after Jerry?
Okay, I want to figure out how I want to start that. I apologize.
That's okay.
The president of the organization in the beginning was Jerry Bogaz, a fine gentleman. I can't say enough about him to this day. We had different political beliefs, and we would go back and forth with some different posts, and a lot of the group was, in my opinion, liberal-minded, and I'm conservative, and it seemed to me as if somebody made a political post. It was okay if it was from people that were of liberal beliefs, but if I would make a post that would support our president, George Bush, at the time, I don't know if chastised is the right word, but, I was sort of chastised for making it. And I kept saying, well, it's okay for other people, but once I make my post, all heck breaks loose. I just did this horrific thing. But the ironic thing about this is Tanya made the very first political post back during the election between Curry and Bush. And she put a poll out there and wanted to know who was voting or supporting which candidate, Curry or Bush. And I'm not sure how many people actually responded to the post, but I was one. And I made it known that I would be supporting George Bush during the election. Well, from that moment on, I was chastised by Tanya. Basically told I'm not as smart as she thought I was, and I just didn't get that. I mean, she put the poll out there. I answered it honestly. I felt the comfort level to be able to speak my feelings about anything, and she didn't take kind to that at all.
So the other members of the group didn't have any problems with that, right?
Well, some of the members, being of liberal beliefs, a lot of them wouldn't chime in. But the funny thing is, if you go back to the posts, I don't really recall starting the political post. If something was posted by Jerry, who I consider a dear friend, and we communicate to this day, I would retweet something back. There was one time that I did make a political post that I started after things were going on, and I was jumped all over for that.
So Jerry, what did you think when Jerry was ousted?
As stated earlier, Jerry Bogaz was the president of the organization. I didn't have much involvement as far as physical presence, as I stated before. But Jerry had a vision for what he was doing with the group. I thought it was going great. And then I found out that Jerry was ousted by the group because of Tanya Head. Tanya Head somehow weaseled her way into this group and then was able, I don't know how to explain it, she was considered the queen of the survivors, for lack of better words. People would gravitate towards Tanya, and I get that, because Tanya went through such a horrific time in her life, and she lost so much more than anybody else. But when I found out that Jerry was ousted, I just didn't understand it. But not being part of the in-crowd, for lack of better words, I didn't understand the whole thing until I would make calls and find out what was going on. But basically, it appeared to me like whatever Tanya said, that's what people agreed with. If Tanya said make a left, you made a left.
But she was magnetic, she was positive, she just plowed through and did all this good stuff.
Well, when you say good stuff, she was an inspiration to many people. She gave a lot of people hope that we can get through this. I mean, she went through so much worse than we did, but yet she was thriving in her job, doing all this volunteer stuff, taking over the group. I mean, she was an inspiration to many people at the time.
She was charming too, right?
Oh, she was a very, also I'd like to add, she was a very charming person, up until a certain point with me, of course, when we didn't see eye to eye.
Wait, they're making a lot of noise out there, so.
Time to get a drink, is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
sure.